Welcome to Passionate World Talk Radio. Educate, enlighten, entertain. And today on Pull Your Heels with Lillian, our special guest is Suzanne Sena, who is a woman entrepreneur. She's also an Emmy-nominated entrepreneur, known as America's confidence catalyst. So good morning, Suzanne. How are you this morning?
Hi, I'm doing great, thank you. It's a beautiful day here on the West Coast, and, starting the day out great. It's the beginning of the week. So much to look forward to.
I'm delighted to hear it. We have a beautiful day here with reports of flash floods, roads going underwater, but right now the sun is shining, and it's only 70 degrees, so I'm going to enjoy it as well. Suzanne, could you please give a little background to the audience so they know who you are?
Well, sure. And, it's funny because, as you know, as an entrepreneur and somebody who's probably done many, many things, it's hard to put it quickly, succinctly, to try and encompass everything that I've done. I'm in my 50s. I started in television when I was really young. Young for me, I guess. I was doing it when I was just out of college and have done it ever since. And, I'm from Michigan. I'm from Dearborn, Michigan, and I love,
awesome.
Yes, got the Michigan work ethic, which I'm really proud of. But, kind of throughout my life, I felt like I had so many things I wanted to accomplish. And right from the get-go, being a female in a, let's just say, a family that was a little old-fashioned, I don't think anyone had great expectations of my career. Not for any reason other than that wasn't something as a female they thought I would aspire to have, which was just wrong. So I started early on creating work for myself because I wanted to do too many things. And I noticed that when I got a traditional job, you have to answer to somebody from first thing in the morning till very late in the day, which is what you do, and that's great. And I did some of that for sure. But then I started a company when I was in my early 20s because I wanted the freedom to be able to pursue my creative passions, like my acting. I wanted to do voiceovers. I also was a writer, and I liked to do advertising copy. So there was so much that I wanted to do. And, again, I didn't want to be put into a box or be told I could only do one thing. So I sort of started making my own opportunities to cut right to the very place where we are now. One thing led to another, and I ended up becoming a broadcaster, TV host. I've been really fortunate and had some great shows that I've hosted. I got an Emmy nomination for a show called Celebrity Homes on the E! Channel. I did a strange transition and ended up going from entertainment news to just news. And I had a national position with the Fox News Channel for a couple of years doing news, and then I got back into my groove of wanting to pursue a variety of things, and I started another business. For the last 10 years, in addition to continuing to do my creative endeavors and my television work, I also now have a media training company. And what I've learned is that no matter who you are, no matter what part of your life or career you are in, the one thing we universally search out is confidence. And that's what people come to me for, whether it's to be confident in front of a group on a stage, if it's to be more confident in life. I'm sort of a combination motivational coach and a media coach, public speaking coach, but I just want people to know that they really can do what they want to do. Nobody should hold anybody back.
Absolutely. And folks, I started my radio station when I was 50-something, 58, 59. All right, I'm 69 now. It's been up for 15 years. And one of the things I found was stop looking around for that knight in shining armor on a white horse to come and sweep you away, because that white knight is probably loaded down with his own baggage. And you don't want any additional baggage. You've got enough to carry on your shoulders, thanks to the culture in this country about teaching women and where they belong. And even though we have the National Organization of Women, and even though my grandmother marched down Fifth Avenue with a banner for women's votes, holding on to our freedom and our opportunities is tenuous. And if you want to make it work, you have to go out on your own horse and threaten and do what you must to become successful.
You're so right about that, Lillian. You're just so right. And I don't know, I think it's so important that people like you and I talk to as many people who can hear, many women who can understand that, look, we're no different than anyone else. We all had parents. We all were raised. We all went to school. But something in some of us says, wait, you can do this. Just because someone else says you can't, that isn't true. And I think it's important that we support each other in that. And it just shocks me, actually, how many times in my life somebody has said, wow, how did you do that? And I thought, well, I did. I just wanted to do something. So I asked questions. Or I remember people saying, why would you ever reach out to that huge, successful broadcast agent when you just had nothing to show for that? And I said, well, I guess I didn't know that I shouldn't, just do it, just ask. And one thing leads to another, and I will say this, we don't know our own paths. We cannot predict. There's no straight line. Some people think, if you're going to go out into the world, you do A, B, and ends up at C. But sometimes, like in my case, you go A, B, T, Z, F. You go back and forth everywhere to get to where you're meant to go. And you have to look at everything as an opportunity that can take you to another opportunity. Just because you can't see it yet doesn't mean it's not there.
What you need to do is take your confident leap of faith. Mm-hmm. And if I was taught way back in college, there is no such thing as a stupid question. Ask. You might say no, but on the other hand, they might say, let's negotiate. Let's strategize. Yeah. Let's see if it works. And on those three, let's strategy, prioritize, get together and see if it works, you would never know existed unless you put yourself in the position. I wrote up this quote a long time ago, and I've had millions of people steal it from me. And basically it says, to become successful, one must put themselves in the paths of giants. And literally translated, folks, that means, especially to the women who are listening, if you want something, you are the only one who can make it happen. And you need to put yourself in the path of whom you think will be that catalyst to get you from A to Z.
Well, look at you. You're speaking my language.
Oh,
it's
well,
so true. No, it's definitely true. And, we oftentimes, people associate success with risk-taking, and it's true. Sometimes you have to be willing to take a risk. And I find that people have to take a look at what holds them back and identify it. And if you can identify what your fear is or your hesitation, oftentimes you can figure out how to get around it. And that's so important to understand that, sure, we've all got hurdles. We just have to learn how to get over them and get around them to get where we want to go. But, Lillian, you are so 100% correct. It's you. No one's going to come to you, take you by your hand, and say, I see potential in you. Come be a star. Come be a superstar success. You have to want it. You have to realize it's possible. And I think once people start getting positive feedback, they can go a little further. But what you just said about not being afraid to ask, that's one of the things people, I think, have the greatest hesitation. They feel like they're going to look stupid. You are right. There are no stupid questions. And the thing is, until you ask a question, how are you going to get that information? Most people who are successful are all too happy to share their knowledge with somebody who's interested in knowing. So ask it. Nothing to lose and everything to gain.
I'll share something with you, Suzanne, and with the audience. I am deathly afraid to travel by myself. But guess what, folks? I've learned how to get around it. put on dark sunglasses. Why? Because nobody can see in. I can see out, but in my mind, good, bad, or indifferent, nobody can see in. If I can't see them, then I feel okay. And I can walk, and I travel now by myself. Am I scared? Hell yes. But I don't let the fear incapacitate me or prevent me from doing or moving forward. That's confidence, and that's what you need to learn.
Well, I love hearing that, Lillian, because some people might say, well, why should she have to wear glasses, or why would I want to try that? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you understand why someone does something or somebody understands why you do something. The point is you found the workaround, and that's what we need to do. We need to conquer the workarounds. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's fearless. But, it's such a thing as, for instance, I like to work out. And I should put that a different way. I don't like to work out. I like to be healthy and in good shape. I hate working out. And I find for me, what is it? Why don't I like to go to the gym? Why would I stop going to the gym? Well, when I really break it down, it's not that I don't like the workout, because once I get there, I like to listen to the music in my headphones, and, I like the results. For me, it's about getting in the car, driving to the gym, and having to park in the gym down in the big old parking lot in L.A., And it's such a silly thing, but all I had to do was decide a way to get exercise without having to get in my car and go somewhere, to start walking. So I started walking to the gym. Makes a huge difference. Now, you and I are both talking during a time period where, at least here in California, our gyms aren't open. We can't travel the way we'd like to.
We can't travel. No, we're still in lockdown where I live. I mean, you still have to wear the mask. If you're not separated, remember when you were in junior high and you went to the dance, and if you danced too close, a cane came or a stick came to separate you two? Over where I live, they come up with a tape measure, and they measure out 6 feet, and they roughly push you into position and say, stay that way. So I understand that. It's pretty bad. And folks, don't laugh. I'm sure Suzanne and I, we come from an era when you were in college and you had a male person come in. You had to keep 1 foot on the floor at all times, and you had to have the door open so that the house mother who would walk by and look on you, make sure you're not doing something you weren't supposed to do.
Well, things have changed quite a bit.
We're not talking about the 1780s here. We're talking about the 20th century.
Oh, it's so true. But, I think all the messages that we're talking about, some things can apply right now. Some things will apply for the long term. But these are things that need to become a part of you if you want success in your life. And that can mean very, very different things to different people. But when you know what you want, or you're even exploring what you want, have the confidence to tell everyone. That's one of the things I've always said to people. Tell everyone you know what it is you'd like to do, because you never know who knows who, or who has a connection to get you the next step closer. And I have so many examples of that happening in my life, me just randomly saying something to somebody, and next thing you know, I got to do something because they knew someone who would talk to me. But if you just keep your dreams and ambitions inside, then they just stay there, and they don't become realities. I don't believe that dreams are unreachable at all. I think you make or break your future. So with the women out there who are listening, I think it's very important to realize that, not everybody grows up in an environment where people say you're going to be a rock star. And Lillian, I don't know if you experienced this also, but like I had referred to earlier, my father was very old-fashioned, really never thought a female would want to go do anything but have a family and raise kids, which is lovely. And for some people, that's everything. But some people want more different things. And if you don't have that support at home or from a partner, then you need to look at yourself and say, I don't need that person's support. I can do this because I support me. I can be my biggest advocate. And that's what we have to do. We have to advocate for ourselves.
The other thing you may want to try to do, I'm going to give you 2 examples, ladies. First of all, go to your bathroom mirror or take out your pocket mirror when you dust your face look in it and say, I am whoever you are, and I'm going to do whatever it is. Because what you're doing is you're confronting and talking to your inner self, and you're supporting your inner self in what you want to do so that you and your inner self are in agreement. If you don't talk to your inner self, start talking to it. You'll be surprised what it has for value. The second thing is, in terms of networking, I met this lady at a writers' convention, and we got to talking. And I was telling her about a book I had written. And I said, I need an editor. So I got an editor. She turned around and gave it to a friend of hers who was a literary agent. The literary agent read the manuscript, and the next thing I knew, I had an agent in England who had submitted my one manuscript to 3 major publishing companies, actually 4 by the time everything is said and done, 4 publishing companies that are still fighting among themselves who's going to do what, which is fine since everything is shut down. The point is you don't know. But if you don't open yourself up and have that little conversation with yourself, you'll never know. And this all leads back to looking in that mirror and saying, I can do this. There's nothing to stop me. And if I want it badly enough, I am going to go out and confront the world. And that's the big word, ladies, confront.
No joke. You have to confront the world. You have to confront your fears. And you have to just start opening yourself up to possibilities. There are some wonderful resources out there. One book that I really love is called The Actor's Way. And it's meant for creative types and unblocking creativity blocks. But the artist way, the artist way. And in it, though, it has worksheets to have you work through your thoughts, work through your dreams, what's blocking you and everything else. Some of the information in there changed my life because it helped me change my perspective of things. And, we talk about relationships, and Lillian, you mentioned it earlier. We don't need to be with somebody to rescue us, to take us someplace. It's great if you have a partner and a support person in your life where you feel like you are mutual partners and respectful of each other and enjoy each other. That's great. But I had been through a period in my life for quite a while where I was single and I had been in relationships. And one by one, if I really looked at the relationships, here are some of the common denominators. Really not necessarily on my same level professionally. Somebody maybe who definitely money was never important to me. Didn't matter what they made or what they didn't make. And nothing much mattered as long as I enjoyed being with that person. But then after realizing I also have a habit, too, of staying in a relationship, how many of us do that longer than we should for a million reasons, I finally went away by myself, Lillian, to Hawaii for 3 weeks, and I brought that book with me. And it was uncomfortable for the first 5-6 days being by myself like that. And then it started to feel great. And when I started doing the workbook, I realized this. I liked myself. I liked my life. And I was good with that. So from then on, I thought, I am not going to get in a relationship again unless the person adds to my life, enhances my world, because I love my world. So why, like you said earlier, take on somebody with baggage, or don't settle? Have a relationship with yourself first, because you're going to be your best friend forever. We need ourselves the most. Isn't that true?
It is true. And I got to tell you something, ladies. If you don't like yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you don't have a confidence in yourself, nobody else will, because they can't give you that. You have to give that to yourself.
Yes. And then when you know you deserve to be treated a certain way, you don't accept less. when I remember when I was really, really actively busy with a television show that I was doing, and I was very fortunate. I had gotten this lead in a TV show, and I was shooting it in New York and living in LA, and I was in one of those relationships that wasn't really meant to be a long-term thing. But I kept telling myself, I realized, well, what guy would really want to be with me right now, because all the focus is on me. My schedule has to take priority. But I had been telling myself that for too long. And then I realized, well, wait, I'm great. I'm really fun. I have a lot to offer. And what you have to realize is we tell ourselves negative things all the time, and that's what holds us back. But when you can do what Lillian is saying and be your own best friend and love yourself, then others can love you. You really can't love others and be loved the way you need to be loved without loving yourself first. And that means also believing in yourself. I bet there are a lot of people listening right now, Lillian, who have always wanted to try something, but for one reason or another have not. And I would challenge any of those people to write that down today, because whether you say it to yourself in front of a mirror or you write it in a journal, but put it physically on paper. People do vision boards. I have, all my whole life I've done vision boards. I've got one right now that's in a folder I take all the time with me. It's just an 8.5 by 11 sheet. But whenever I have something I know I want to do or accomplish, I write it down in there. And it doesn't mean it has to happen today or tomorrow, but I never lose sight of that thing that I want to do. And then I will always do it. I always have. It's not easy. It's just dedication, right, and commitment.
It's dedication. It's discipline, which many people do not want to hear. And then I think the final word to the puzzle is responsibility. You are responsible for you. If you're married, it's a shared responsibility between you and your partner. But the first thing is you have to understand what you want, what you're going to ask for. So, for example, don't laugh. My husband passed away last year. It's almost been a year. And I get a lot of men requests on LinkedIn and Facebook. And the first thing they tell you is, I want to take care of you. So this is how I answer them. My husband left me well provided. Between what he earned and what I earned, I'm quite comfortable. So I don't need you for money. I said, I was a single parent for 15 years, so I lived by myself. And this is the first time since 21 that I've been on my own. And I love it. I just can't believe that I have a second chance to really do what I want to do on my terms. Ladies, if you're looking for a companion, you want equality in your relationship. Everything else is, well, what I say, Mickey Mouse. It's not important. You have the equality there, one-on-one, everything else will fall into line. I was married 30 years to a college professor. He treated me with dignity, respect, and as an equal at all times. And I wasn't looking for it. And, he took up a 15-year-old gifted, talented kid across the board. I give him high marks for that. My kid was 15 when we walked into the relationship. That's a hard age. But the thing of the matter is, none of it would have been possible if I hadn't the confidence that I exuded out to other people.
Yeah.
The confidence that Suzanne can teach you to have. She has a podcast called the Confidence Connection. So what are you ladies waiting for?
There are some actually great episodes that we've done called Quickies, and I think those are most universally applicable to anyone, any age, just because they're basically about how I was able to learn a lesson or have a perspective shift. So if you do go to the podcast, look at the Quickies. I think you'll enjoy them. They're 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes, and I think very useful insight. I feel like everyone's big sister or something because no one told me these things. I had to learn them myself, but I think some of them are really, really strong messages. I do want to say that we have just started to adjust the focus a little bit on the podcast. It is called The Confidence Connection. It was originally intended for people and women in business So I was speaking with a lot of very, very accomplished, very top of their game people from all walks of life, entertainment, sports, also, of course, corporate, the world. But now what we've noticed, because we launched this, believe it or not, just right as the whole virus situation happened. And now I'm finding that confidence is lacking, obviously, in a variety of ways. And part of that is, how do we do all these things we're talking about that we want to achieve in a virtual-based world? So now we're calling it, as of another week or so, the confidence connection, building trust in a virtual world. And we all have to trust that we can, that we still can have the things that we want and accomplish what we want, and some people even more than they might have otherwise. But it is new, and whenever we're dealing with new situations, that's uncomfortable. One of my mantras is we have to learn to become comfortable being uncomfortable. When we're uncomfortable, that's often just a sign that something new is happening, because it's human nature to feel when you don't know what's going to be, it makes you nervous. But there can also be a very thin line, right, between what your body feels like when it's nervous and when it's excited. So if you start to tell yourself, I'm uncomfortable, but that's okay, because I believe in myself and I know that whatever happens, I'm going to end up on the good side of this. I just don't know what that is yet. And have that leap of faith, as you mentioned earlier. It's important now more than ever.
Absolutely. I think, too, you ought to include belief. And if you want to tone it towards religion, ladies, do it. Sort of like a woman's religion, Athena. But I'll tell you something. You have to totally believe in what you're doing. You have to totally believe in yourself. And you have to totally believe that what you are going to do is going to make a difference in your community and the world around you. Leave your ripple behind so the next generation of women can follow you and expand upon it.
Yeah, I want to mention one more thing, too, Lillian, that I think is key. And you and I had just a brief second to chat ahead of time, and that support we can get from women is crucial. And the support from anyone in our world is crucial. And I want people to realize that when you look around at the people in your world, you have control over how close they are in your world, right? You've heard this before. Are they in your audience? Are they in the back seat? Are they right up there with you, sitting in your chair? If somebody is not supportive, we all have that person, right? Somebody who says, oh, I don't think you should try that, or boy, I don't know how you think you're going to do that. That is not a person who is being on your team. And so they can still be in your world. They can still be out there in your audience. You can still be friends. But they should not be your inner support group. You need to think, who is my champion? And you want to be that way for someone else. And that's when women become strongest, when we can have that core inner circle of support where people believe we can do it, they believe they can do it, and we hold each other accountable to go ahead and do what we said we're going to do. Have you ever had an accountability buddy, Lillian? Have you ever done that?
I haven't done a study, but I do know that the women that I work with, I make it very clear, especially when I'm signing up hosts or getting sponsors interested. I tell people I have this little maxim. It's called equal value to equal exchange, which means that no matter what you do, whatever value you offer me in exchange, I will offer you the same or better value, so that in the end everyone is supportive of each other and we work together as one. You know, ladies, in this, boys are brought up as a team. That's why they're encouraged to be in sports. So they learn quite early that there's no I, there's only a we. And the we is the ones who build the foundation upon which everybody builds their own progress or company on. But they also put back that which they take out. And that's why the men, the Good Old Boys Network, is powerful. And that's what we as women need to do as well.
Oh, yes. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Lillian, you're just a wealth of wisdom.
Yes, I was married for my wisdom. I hate cutting this short. We will need to bring you back, Suzanne. Tell everybody where they can find you on the World Wide Web. Tell them when your podcast airs, and give them the works, lady.
Well, thanks, Lillian. If anybody's interested in the podcast, I think there's a lot of value to it. It's the kind of thing that if you listen, I think you'll share with other people who need some of the messages. And you can find The Confidence Connection with Suzanne Sena on Apple Podcasts and really anywhere podcasts are, any platform. We're everywhere. My website is SuzanneSena.com. My name is spelled the old-fashioned way, S-U-Z, not S-U-S, S-U-Z-A-N-N-E. Last name is Sena. It just has one N, SENA.com. And honestly, if you just go on and search any combination of those things on the Internet, you'll find probably more than I even care for you to. I'm out there, and I would love to hear from people. You can reach me through the website. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. And Lillian, I'm going to jump off when we're done here, and I'm going to go and I'm going to connect with you on LinkedIn and find out where I can find you everywhere.
Oh, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen and adults of all ages, I want to thank you for joining us this morning. You can hear Cool Your Heels with Lillian and our special guest, Suzanne with a Z, Sena, all over again on https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. Right-hand side of the page, menu, scroll down, Cool Your Heels, click on it. If you're technologically challenged, we have a Sizzle line, which is a phone line. Pick up what phone you have, cell, Android, Apple, tablet, whatever you use, and just go to the page where it says Sizzle lines, and there's the phone number. Put the phone number in, and the recording will start immediately. Also, you can hear us on Spreaker, on Apple, iHeart, iTunes, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're all great programs are heard on all over on social media, as Suzanne can attest to. And before we go away and stray, Talleyrand had this to say: never speak ill of yourself. Your friends will always say enough on that subject. I want to thank you all very much for listening, and remember, stay tuned and stay healthy. Thank you.